All right, and we're ready to go. So welcome everyone to our latest in the Lifeboat Academy updates. And today we are welcoming you to a somewhat special update. We are coming to you on the 5th of September, the day after Labor Day. And so we're on a slightly different day, and it's also because it's the beginning of a new feeling of the season. We're also going to be doing a little bit more of a broader view on our update. Part of the way that we work here as in putting our aim, act, reflect process into practice means that we meet at least once a week to go over our weekly plan, but we also meet every season so that we go over a seasonal plan, a 3-month look at things. And so today we're going to pull the lens back a little bit more, and we're going to give a slightly longer range view of what we're doing and where we are. And as part of that, we still will retain our normal practice of starting with a land acknowledgement. We start by acknowledging the land as a way of reminding ourselves that everything we do and everything that we are comes from the land and will return to the land. In the words of Norm Leach, the land was here before we were. The land was here even before we were people, and we only exist as people because the land has caused us to be so. And so by acknowledging the land, we acknowledge our complete and total interconnection with all living things. We also, in acknowledging that, acknowledge a debt of gratitude to the indigenous cultures of the world that have retained this knowledge, often literally at the tip of a gun, and not only have endured great hardship in order to keep this knowledge alive, but are still graciously willing to share it with us if we are willing to listen. And so we acknowledge that we are on the traditional unceded territory of the WSÁNEĆ, who have been the caretakers of this land for time immemorial, and who are our close neighbors now, and to whom we owe a debt of gratitude for their generosity in sharing an understanding of the world that we desperately need right now, if we are going to heal the damages that have been done. So with that, I tip my hat to the WSÁNEĆ and to all of the indigenous people around the world who have held on to a knowledge that we desperately need to re-find for ourselves. And as part of kind of creating that larger lens, that bigger picture, and where we are all connected, this is a regular practice in our weekly meetings as we remind ourselves of why we're here, what we're doing, and why it matters. And so we're going to do the same today, and we'll go around the circle. It'll be Roland, Jen, Ronnie, me, and we'll have an opportunity each to talk to the question, what is it that we're trying to accomplish together, and why does it matter? So Roland, over to you.
Thanks, Ben. I think we are trying to be responsive. I think that's been the watchword from the beginning, and responsive on a whole bunch of different levels that will connect differently with different people, I think, as we're thinking about climate change and a societal collapse, and even just the increasing price of real estate, and windows are closing on all of those really quickly, it seems. So we are trying to raise the funds to be able to buy this property so that we can continue to grow food and feed people in a part of the world where everyone wants to come because it's being less affected by climate change, and we can still grow food. And I think that that's why what we're doing matters, to be able to start building on what there already is, to be able to ensure that there is an after, and to start building what comes after. So I will now pass over to Ronnie.
We're also creating a place where people can come to experience living in collaboration with other people and with the land, living and moving towards right relationship with the land and all our relations. We're really trying to uh, create experiments to show how we can live sustainably on this particular parcel of land, which is 47 acres, how we can live and work together and thrive using the resources that are available here in a truly sustainable way, a way that will be sustainable long term, and a way that also regenerates the land and regenerates the biosphere and the ecosystem here. So we're inviting folks in to be a part of the experiments that we're undertaking to see what might be possible here, to see how many people we can feed in a way that not only doesn't harm the land, but actually gives back to the land and leaves the land better for the generations to come. And that all matters because the ways we have been living over the last decades and centuries have not been in deep right relationship to the land. We have not collaborated with each other in kind and fair and respectful ways, and all of that has led to the multi crisis, the poly crisis that we find ourselves in now. So we're working to create a place where we're living out a different culture, and we're living out a different way of doing things. Over to you, Jen.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. And yeah, in the spirit of acknowledging the land, in the same way, the same spirit that the indigenous have reclaimed their language and the way we name places now is coming back. I'm living on South Pender, and we call this Sideus now, for example. And in the same spirit, we're wanting to reclaim the commons, reclaim the shared land, the shared resources, and being able to do it together. So co-creating a model of resilience and regeneration at the people, place, and community level that can support a sustainable way of life. Here in BC, we've seen drought, we've seen wildfires getting worse and worse. And so we want to be able to continue having land to live on, to work on, to speak about. We've seen a lot of devastation around the world where people don't have homes to go back to. Their food, everything is gone. Dreams shattered, and it's happening, and it's happening all around the world, and we're seeing it more and more. And so it matters now to step up and take the opportunity that we still have to be able to create the conditions that can support a sustainable way of life. And so we're establishing the first campus of the Lifeboat Academy here as a way to learn how to do that, in a way that we can also be a role model and teach and share with others so that they can do it in their community, and not just sustainability of the land and the food, but for ourselves as well, to help us keep our spirit intact and to be able to grow the capacity to be able to create a sustainable world for ourselves where we're not so reliant on outside resources that may or may not be available to us in the future. And so we're creating this academy and then setting up a whole lifeboat network, essentially, which is growing in interest and very exciting. So we know that we're not alone in this. And I'm just happy that our eyes are wide open now, and they're opening, and more eyes are opening. So I am ever so grateful for that, and so that we can, in fact, reclaim the commons and start being in this all together. That's what's as we were talking about, being in right relationship with the land, each other, and with life and all our relations. So over to you, Ben.
Yeah, that seems, I think we've covered most of it. The part that I would add or emphasize is, what we're doing is trying to respond to the situation we find ourselves in with eyes wide open. Not catastrophizing, but also not minimizing. Things are happening right now, and as Roland said, windows are closing. Right now is our best chance at actually taking action. We have resources available now. We have energy available now. We have networks available now where we can start to take some of those bold steps towards making the changes we know we need to make so that we're prepared for whatever is going to happen. And we know that that's not some distant future. We know things are happening right now and they're going to continue to happen. And so, what we're doing is, one of the ways I think about it is it's sort of a mobilization center for the newly alarmed around climate and societal collapse. And so we're trying to figure out how can we help people fast forward through the rocky transition from everything must be fine because they say it is, to, oh, actually, it turns out I'm going to have to do something. And so how do we help people on that transition so that you can get from shock and overwhelm to effective action as quickly as possible? Why is that important? Because that's where we're at right now. We need all hands on deck. We need as much help as we can get. We being us, not the four of us, not the Lifeboat Academy, humanity. We all need to be helping each other out as much as we can right now. So that gives you a little insight into where we're coming from. And one of the things we want to do is also, we want to share our views with you, but as a way of inviting you to ask yourself the same questions. What is it that you want to be building in your lifeboat or as part of the Lifeboat Network? What feels like the most important things for us to try to accomplish together? And most importantly, why does that matter to you? What's the why? Just a real quick, for those of you who may be watching us for the first time, the idea behind the Lifeboat Academy, as Jen said, is to create a model of resilience and regeneration at the person, place, and community level. We want to test out and prove some ideas that are going to help increase our resilience overall at the personal, interpersonal, how we work with each other at the material, practical, physical place level, and also in our own sort of emotional resilience as well. And we think of a lifeboat as nothing more than a network of people that you can rely on when the going gets rough. Located in your own area. And ultimately, we are interested in creating a fleet of lifeboats, all interconnected through the Lifeboat Network, so that we can share information and resources so that we all do better. So with that in mind, where are we now? Well, we are actually well underway. I think if we step back and look at the big picture, we've been spending the better part of the year so far in really organizing our materials, organizing our offering, figuring out how to tell the story of what we're working on together, and starting to reach out to more and more people who could be partners in the project. We encountered a little bit of a bump in the road recently, which I think is turning out to be both a blessing and in the spirit of the farmer and the horse. It seemed like a crisis at the time, but it's probably turned out to be a really good thing, where we thought we were going to be on a hyper extended timeline, having to come up with $2.5 million in about a week. That seemed a little far-fetched. But we now have strong reason to believe that we have an extended timeline. And so currently we're working towards what we hope will be an end of October removal of subjects, final removal of subjects on our purchase agreement, which basically means that by the end of October, we're hoping to have as close to 100% certainty that we can do the deal, that we can form the B Corp, and that we can purchase the property. And we're just waiting for those details to get ironed out. And the medicine under the trouble in all of this was by sending out that, what we called our Hail Mary email. We were able to get some more interest coming in. And so I'm going to turn over to Ronnie to talk through some of the things that we're hearing about. Over to you, Ronnie.
Yeah, so a few more people came forward expressing interest in investing, which is really exciting. Additionally, our friends Cam and Tasha are pretty much on board to be farmer caretakers once we've secured the property, which will be sometime this winter. And they will be bringing with them basically a whole farm worth of gear and equipment and animals and experience and know-how, which is really exciting. And they've also been, in Cam's words, hustling to share the Lifeboat Academy project and mission with folks in really intentional and also expansive ways. So they've connected us with, at this point, 4 to 5 other people, or are going to be connecting us with 4 to 5 other people who are some combination of investors or potential farmers, eventual investors, folks who are really also aligned with what we're doing here. Additionally, they're going to be plugging the project to the members of their 50-member CSA that they've been running. So another whole network of folks over there who are interested in supporting community and agriculture and sustainability projects like ours. We also have a potential fellow farmer named Barbara, who's spent her life doing a lot of really incredible systems design and community work and agricultural work. And she's also just really aligned with the project and excited to get involved. And there's some other things going on, but those are some really awesome highlights and things that are really sort of bubbling up just in the past week or so. So a lot of good stuff going on there. We've also got quite a few lifeboat builders and mentors who have been responding to our emails and expressing interest in being part of the Lifeboat Network, which is really exciting and something that we've been really gearing up for and building towards for a long time. So we're going to be spending this season also figuring out how the Lifeboat Network is organized and how we're going to get folks up to speed and really being plugged into being support points of support along the network. And I guess I already mentioned this, but we have a handful, at least probably at least a couple of handfuls of new potential investors of different sizes and different amounts, which is really exciting. So yeah, I think I covered it about. And over to Jen, I think.
Yeah, so a week to earn $2.5 million is intimidating, but now we have 8, and we have lots of big plans in the next 8 weeks to ensure that happens, and it's looking very possible, if not probable, with all the interest that Ronnie's been talking about and what's already been coming in, and a lot of letters of support and letters of intent for people who are ready to commit and invest. Even the owner of the property is, really keen on what's going to become of the property. And there's actually a really cool property map we're going to be sharing in coming weeks, what it's all going to look like. But we do have 8 weeks, so I mean, it's not a lot of time; it's more time. So we could really use your support, help us spread the word. Maybe you yourself can contribute in some way. It's time to start showing up. So let's do that. Over to you, Ben.
Thanks. And that reminds me, mentioning the current property owner, who has been really a fantastic ally in this whole process. And we literally couldn't have done any of this without her support and continued support. And we recently had a conversation that was just really gratifying about the level of alignment and commitment that's happening there. So, right now we're kind of holding off on saying too much because we're still waiting for, all of the I's to be dotted and the T's to be crossed and that sort of thing. But I just wanted to basically give a shout out to Stephanie and for just really being our dream property owner and a continuing partner as we move forward. So that's all really exciting. So as Jen said, we've got 8 weeks in which to finalize. Basically, we don't have to have everything in place in 8 weeks. We just have to have everything locked down so that we know that it's going to happen. And so it's going to be a very busy 8 to 12 weeks for our seasonal plan. And a big part of that kind of what do you call that? The centerpiece of our plan for this fall is our involvement with something called the Regenerate Cascadia project. I'll try to give the short form of it, and I'm happy to answer questions if anybody wants more detail. But Regenerate Cascadia is a combined effort between the Cascadia Department of the bioregion, which represents the Cascadia bioregion, which stretches from Northern California to Southern Alaska, and is really focused mostly on Washington, Oregon, and BC. And that is Cascadia is going to be partnering with Joe Brewer and the Design School for Regenerating Earth and Earth Regenerators, which is a global organization promoting activism at the bioregional level, thinking in terms of bioregional systems and how we can heal entire landscapes at a go. And they are combining to come tour Cascadia. There will be 20-some stops on a month-long tour where Joe Brewer and Brandon Letzinger and and Claire Atwell, who's one of our partners, will be engaged in an activation tour where they will be creating opportunities for local communities that have undertaken regenerative activities to come together to work with Joe Brewer and his team to think about what might be possible if we start to work together at a bioregional scale. And in particular, they are promoting something called bioregional learning centers. And we think that we are the poster child for a bioregional learning center. So we're really excited to be able to showcase what we're working on in that forum. But more importantly, we've actually been invited to partner with them because a lot of what we've been doing with the Lifeboat Network idea is stuff that can support the Regenerate Cascadia tour. So we're hoping that we can plug in our lifeboat materials, our lifeboat process into the Regenerate Cascadia project to provide sort of a parallel support structure. So it'll help us reach out to and grow our lifeboat network. At the same time, it'll help us to integrate into our larger bioregion and all of the work that's going on here. One of the things that's going to be part of that then is we'll be shifting to thinking about some of the physical improvements that we can make in the farm in the short term so that we can be ready to welcome that event in late October. And like I said, it's also an opportunity for us to get to that next level of organizing the Lifeboat Network. As Ronnie was saying, we already have people who are coming forward who are excited. Some of them, actually, they're in different states as well. There are some people who are just ready to roll up their sleeves and start to build their lifeboat. And there are other people who have already been engaged in the work in their community, and they're looking for some additional support to figure out how to grow it and really increase the effectiveness of the work that they're doing. So over to you, Ronnie.
Yeah, so we're going to be hosting, we have at least a couple investor recruitment sessions tentatively planned, one with Co-Housing BC and one with Green Muse Herbs in Victoria, BC. But we're looking to be hosting sessions where we're talking about each of the different investor types. So those would be the timeshare croppers, insurance policy holders, fair share sponsors, and social mortgage holders. And basically, it's an opportunity for anyone who's interested in investing to come to a live session to learn more about each of these types and to ask questions and to hear from other folks too who are also maybe potentially already committed to investing. Just because these are all fairly, we're sort of inventing some new concepts and some new ways of being in relationship to land and being in community together to steward the land together. So these are opportunities to really kind of get your hands dirty and learn about what's going on. And one of the ways that you can help us is if you might be interested in hosting one of these sessions for us, inviting us in and inviting people in your network, or if you know someone who might be interested. Should I go in and talk about these investor types a little bit, or? Okay.
Why don't you talk about the investor type side, a little technical glitch there. So
Okay.
talk about investors and I'll fix the glitch.
Okay, great. So timeshare croppers are folks who essentially have a timeshare in the property here in the project. So depending on how many shares you purchase, you get more or less time every year in perpetuity that you get to come live and work in collaboration with the team here on the ground. And that the time that you get is distributed seasonally. So you get to build an ongoing relationship with the land, not just in the summer when it's, you know, hot and nice out, but also all of the other seasons of the year, and get to really experience what what it's like to live cyclically in relationship to the land. Um, Insurance policy holders are folks who commit to purchasing what we call a full footprint on the farm, which is 100 shares. Um, and what that means is you're essentially investing in the project now to support the experiment here, to support the work we're doing to prove that we can support 16 people sustainably and regeneratively on this parcel. And then eventually you'll have the opportunity to be in the commons and live on the farm full time. So that's why we call it an insurance policy. So eventually, once we know that we have the food we need and the water we need, the biocapacity here on the land, whenever things in your life sort of get to a point where you need a place where you can come, that's what the insurance policy is for. Fair share sponsors are folks who invest and purchase shares with the intention of making space in the commons available to other people. And we're taking that as far as if you're a fair share sponsor, you could identify if you would like a specific demographic that you would like to have access to the commons. So you could support queer people or young people or indigenous folks or BIPOC or women or whatever kind of group you'd like to identify, to make that access available to them. So this is part of what we call transition economics, and making things more equitable and more available to people who might want to be here, who might not otherwise have the means to do so. And then our social mortgage holders are folks who essentially invest with the expectation that they will be paid back over time. So it works sort of like a traditional mortgage, except for the interest on the mortgage is paid back in social benefits rather than in money. So we have, because we're incorporating as a B Corp, a social benefit corporation, we have our social benefits written into our bylaws. So these are standards that we will be legally held to. So social mortgage holders invest knowing that they're supporting a project that's going to bring benefit to our community and to the biosphere through food production and carbon sequestration and community education and really wonderful things like that. So yeah, I think that about covers it. Oh, and we are also going to be spending a large amounts of time following all the various leads that we have. And one of them that we just came into last week is particularly exciting. It's called the Discovery Group, and they're basically a consulting firm for social benefit corporations. So they provide support around marketing and finding investors, finding community support. And we feel like we're fairly far along in our fundraising outreach, but we're curious how they might be able to support us both in the short term with finding investors and marketing, as well as long term, picking up some of the slack so that we're not having to constantly do outreach and fundraise, but so that to figure out kind of a system that will work for us to be able to get the word out in a continuous way moving forward. So back to you, Ben.
Great. Well, and so next up, we want to talk about ways that you can help, and we need your help. And we have, from the very beginning, we've always thought we were holding space for other people to come and roll your sleeves up and take part ownership of this common enterprise. And so there are lots and lots of ways that we've designed from the very beginning that people can get involved, from relatively light lifting to relatively heavy lifting if you're up for it. And it's one of the things Matilda says all the time, I guarantee you're going to wish you'd done more. And I think it's one of the things as we're looking at the news and we're looking at these events that seem to come out of nowhere. We don't know how much time we have to get ready for things to come. And so the time to start is now. And I think that there can be a lot of fear and apprehension about, what it means to address the challenges that we face. And one of the things that we want to, a truth that we've already proofed for ourselves here at the Lifeboat Academy is hope is action. Action is hope. And there is something about moving past the fear and the confusion and the overwhelm of what we might be facing to really start to roll up your sleeves and stand shoulder to shoulder and do things practically on the ground. So one of the ways that you can help is just really to take this seriously, to start asking yourself the questions about what else can you do? How else can you help? How else can you start to get ready? And so, in general, that's the thing we want to leave you with. In particular, there are a lot of concrete things that you can do. One is to share referrals with us, and I'll pass over to Roland for some of that.
So if you know of someone, an individual or someone in an organization, so what we need is sort of direct connections with people. If you know of people that you think would be interested or might have access to resources that can help us, please let them know about us, have them contact us. What we need less of are, if you see an interesting website, you send it to us. What we need at this point, given the timeline that we have to meet the requirements to be able to buy the property, is sort of a quicker, direct route. So yeah, if you could do that, if you have those contacts, then please forward them over to us. And okay, sorry, go ahead, Ronnie.
It's okay. And this is something I already mentioned briefly, but if you'd be interested in hosting an investor recruitment session, or somebody who might be, that's also a tremendous help, especially if you yourself are committed to investing. Why not talk to your friends and see if they like to get together over Zoom and attend an info session? We're happy to host these. We're happy to share information and answer questions about the different types of investing. But especially if you're passionate about this project and the opportunities that we're providing, please share with your networks and see if you might be able to get the word out and get some folks together to learn more.
Yeah, and I think I want to pile on that as well, which is, many hands make light work. And a lot of times when we think about investors and when, we kick around the $2.5 million number, that can feel really intimidating for a lot of people. But, a lot of people with a couple $1,000s is, we all probably know people that have a few $1,000s that they can spare. And, we get enough of those people lined up, that takes care of the fundraising. We don't need a huge number of hugely rich people to be able to do this. But we need people to start talking to their friends and start to, talk it up and let people know about it. Because if they don't know about the opportunity, they definitely aren't going to be able to help out. And there are benefits to people investing. It's not charitable in the sense that you're giving the money away and you're just hoping that good will come from it. This is actually an investment that you can have some tangible benefits from as well. And then, of course, the other thing is we encourage you all to start building your lifeboat. We want to support you in doing that. That's why we're here. We have all sorts of tools. We put a lot of thought and effort into thinking about what would be most helpful to most people. And but even if you don't need help from us, really start to think about what can you do today to start building your lifeboat? How can you start to get ready? And again, when we're talking about a lifeboat, we're not talking about necessarily a stash of food, though there's nothing wrong with that. But what we're really talking about is how do you grow the relationships and the capacities of people that you know and the resources that you have already available, so that you start using those assets to prepare yourself to be better prepared for whatever might be coming along. And there's that old cartoon about what if we go ahead and we create green jobs and we clean up the environment and we have healthy ecosystems and it turns out climate's just a hoax. Same sort of thing here. What if you start building your lifeboat and you start developing strong relationships and more self-reliance, and it turns out things aren't that bad? You haven't really lost much. You've actually just grown your relationships and your ability to live in a healthy community. So there's no downside. There's nothing but upside. So please start thinking about how you want to build your lifeboat. And if you have questions or you need support, that's what we're here for. So I think that's really what we wanted to cover for today. It's a little bit longer than our normal update, but not too long. And we're always available. You can, if you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comment section below. We will keep an eye on them and we'll respond as we can. You can always send us an email, friends@lifeboat.academy, or search us on any of the social media channels as Lifeboat Academy. Will show up. And so, keep in touch, maintain contact, and we'll go once more around the circle just to see, give everyone a chance to kind of check out and offer any final thoughts for the good of the cause. So Roland, over to you.
Every little bit helps, and thank you for every little bit. Over to Ronnie.
Yeah, the biggest leaps and bounds that we're seeing in level of investment and level of involvement really comes from people we know talking to people that we know. So this is just a reminder that this is our collective project, and it's not going to happen if we collectively, beyond just the four of us here who are on the ground on the farm, put the work in and put the effort in to make it happen. And the result is this fabulous 47-acre communally stewarded farm and regenerative learning center that is open to virtually anyone to come and visit. So it's a really incredible vision that we're holding here, and we need your support to make it happen. So thank you for all the ways that you show up. Over to Jen.
I'm really looking forward to hearing your comments, seeing your comments down there below. Any questions that you have, we're happy to answer them. I'd love to know what you're feeling into. What are you concerned about? What are you alarmed about? What are you wanting to contribute? How are you showing up? What are you already doing? And what do you want to learn to do even better? So I'd love to see those comments and questions down below. Ben?
Yeah, fantastic. Big dittos all the way around. I also wanted, just in terms of sort of housekeeping, we try to walk our talk carefully. And so when we're talking about the fall plan, I want to just be really clear that this is a proposal that we are putting forward to our Stewardship Council. If you are on the Stewardship Council and listening to this message, which hopefully you are, because it's good for you to keep up to date, we are in the process of setting up the next meeting where we as a group will go over the proposals and some of the details, answer any questions, and make sure that we have an agreement on how we are all moving forward together. So more updates to come. We're really excited about the possibilities, and things just seem, knock wood, things seem to be coming together. And so onward and upward, but let's not let go of the let's not take the foot off the accelerator just yet. And so looking forward to seeing what we can all get accomplished together. More later. Bye.